Did you shoot my dog? Good afternoon. So, wanted to go over a story that I read, and I'm just trying to kind of put it together. I'm going to pop it up. We're not going to go to an article today. I'm just gonna give you the highlights. So, I started this podcast almost 8 months ago with the mystery of neighbors living in peace in suburbia. Is that fact or fiction? What can go wrong? How to best live in a neighborhood, etc. I haven't been disappointed with any of the stories I've been able to bring you. Today's story is an odd one to me, and we'll go through it. And so, you know, to me, it's these uncomfortable situations that I find fascinating, and this is no exception. So, um, the headline of the story, if I were to write one, it would be "Man shoots neighbor's dog in man's yard. No charges filed." That would be too simple, though. Let's review what I understand to be the story. I could be wrong. So, every time you read a story, you're never sure if you're really getting the truth anymore. It's always confusing, but this is what I've obtained. Okay. It says a man and a wife have a house and they spend time in their yard. The next door neighbor has two dogs, large dogs, and says they are harmless. Harmless as kittens. They're just the nicest things in the world. The man is in his own yard when the neighbor dog bites him. He files a police report in June. Scared that he will get bitten again, he keeps a gun with him whenever he goes to work in his own yard. In August, a family friend was watching the neighbor dog. The dog comes at the man aggressively and he shoots the dog, killing it. The family friend changes the story over and over, and the neighborhood is angry with the man for killing the neighbor dog that had already bit him once. The prosecutor looks into the case and declines to charge the man for killing the dog. In doing so, they explain that the witness family friend story changed, and neighbor's own security camera footage indicates that the dog was in the man's yard. The man who shot the dog holds some sort of political position in the town. Citizens demand justice for the killed dog. Justice in this case is charging the man in the case of killing the dog. That would be justice, and I suspect some sort of fine. I don't know, maybe jail time. I don't know. Anyway, it's just a mess. You've got people involved in this, and the community is sad for the dog. And so anyway, I had some thoughts and I had some questions, and I just wanted to bring them to you. So how messed up is it when you have to carry a gun into your own backyard whenever you're out there because you're worried you might get attacked by a neighbor dog? Like, think about this. You've already been bitten by the dog and you're worried something worse might happen. Living in a neighborhood, is it reasonable for you to have to be concerned with a dog attacking you from your neighbor? I mean, is that what we've gotten to now? Is that we have this, we can't even be in our own backyards without some dog, like in fear for our lives that the dog's going to come at us and we need to carry a gun? What I was wondering is, did the design of the houses or subdivision rules contribute to the eventual death of the dog? What I mean is, could the man have put up a fence on his own property to keep the dogs out? Or is there some requirement that forbids fencing altogether? So there's some neighborhoods where you're not even allowed to put up a fence. So this man's scared that he's going to get bit by a dog. And can I build a fence? Well, no. Now the HOA rules or the subdivision covenants don't allow you to build a fence in your own backyard. So I was just wondering, I don't know. I didn't get the details on that. It says, if you are attacked by a neighbor dog and you are in fear for your life, what should you do? Like, Google it? The man filed a police report when he got bit. It seemed like that was the right thing to do. But now my limited understanding of dog bites, like you have to make sure that the dog doesn't have rabies and all this other stuff. And I would have thought that if he did get bitten, that animal control would have been called out. Like, that's what I would have thought happened, but I don't know. If you are the man who's in fear, what should you do? You're living in a neighborhood. Shouldn't there be some sort of leash laws or something to prevent this from happening? Is the man who's in fear supposed to build a fortress around his house because a neighbor refuses to keep his dog on a leash? Like, at what point is there someone else's responsibility here? And is it possible that you can be sad that the dog was killed, yet feel concern for the neighbor who has had to live in fear of the dog who bit him? Is your value system such that animals are more important than humans? This was not the case where the man had abused the dog in any way. He got bit by the dog in the past. I can understand where one would be upset if the man had a history of abusing animals or something like that, but in this case, it appears as though he was just trying to enjoy his yard. We know that the neighbors believed their dogs were the sweetest dogs on the planet and would never hurt anyone. I love dogs, but I know that they act differently with their owners than they do around strangers. And I was curious, how does that conversation go between neighbors? So if you're the man, it's like, hey, can you possibly do something about your dog? It bit me the other day and I had to call the police. I'm constantly in fear for my life. Could you maybe put a leash on your dogs when they're outside? Or maybe put up a fence so I don't get mauled? And the neighbor has kind of three different ways he can go. So the first one, it's your fault that you got bit because my dogs are so gentle they wouldn't hurt anyone. The second one would be, I'm really sorry that my dog bit you. I should have been a better dog owner and take care of my dogs. Since I know you've been bitten, I will definitely keep my dogs on a leash whenever they're outside, and I'll definitely look into getting a fence estimate. And then the third way is, what the WTF is wrong with you? You know you aren't the best neighbor either. Your car is on the driveway when the rules say it should be in the garage. The neighbor has three real options there and probably didn't choose the second one. Why? He would have had to accept responsibility for the dog's actions. And in this story, it would appear that the neighbor is incapable of doing so. Neighbors matter. Good neighbors are a treasure. Bad neighbors can let their dogs bite you, and when you take action, vilify you within the community for protecting yourself. Keep that in mind. And I'm trying to think of what I would have done in this situation. I'm not a fan of guns, especially out in public, but I also don't like the idea that I can't go outside without getting attacked by the neighbor dog. In this space, if I take a big stick or some other weapon other than a gun, I still don't think I'm in good shape because there seems to be no instance in which it would look okay for me to injure the dog to protect myself. And that's kind of strange, isn't it? I mean, we get this idea of a dog and it's always going to be the most fluffy, friendly dog and it would never hurt anybody. But in reality, there's some big old dogs out there that could maul you if you're not careful. And here's the trouble with living in neighborhoods. Look at this situation. If you're the man, you spend every day worrying that a dog is going to attack you on your own property. When you end up responding, you're living next door to someone that you've killed their dog. If you're the neighbor, you're all happy with your dogs, and the man who is your neighbor killed your dog. You still have to live next to that. Like every day you come in, every day you drive in, and drive out, you're living literally next to the person that killed your dog, or you had to kill their dog because they were attacking you. Does this get solved? Are these neighbors ever going to be able to put this incident behind them? I have no idea. I think that if I were confronted with this situation, I would move. We do have a dog in the neighborhood that has attacked people, but I've never thought to get a gun and shoot the dog, and I've never even talked to the owner about it. It seems like they have enough trouble just living it. There seems to be some issues there that I don't understand. But I'm curious, what would you do, or what would you have done in this situation? I don't think there's a right answer here. I'm not trying to take the side of the man who killed the dog, but I certainly understand where he's coming from. You should have the right to enjoy your property in peace and free from fear of dog attacks. Am I wrong? I mean, I think I would prefer not to ever be in this situation. Okay. And 99% of you would also be the same. It's terrible. It's terrible. But it doesn't look like this man had there was no way he was ever going to get out of this situation as long as the dog was alive, because it was going to continue to attack him. And like I said, if he injures the dog, we have this vision of dogs that's like, we don't want to kill dogs, we don't want to injure dogs. I mean, that's just crazy. So terrible situation. Part of the joys of living in the burbs. Let me know what you think. I'm curious. I know I'm taking the side of the owner, and I don't want to be, or the man that got bit. I don't want to be taking his side, but I just see it like, what else can you do? I mean, what if you had a child in that situation that was in the backyard, and you were worried that the dog was gonna kill the child? I mean, it's terrible. It's terrible. So anyway, that's all I have for you today. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening, and I'll catch you on the next one.